Mrs. Levinson?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Colleen Patterson, and you'll have a deaf student this year in your classroom, and I will be your interpreter.
Well, nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you.
You may be thinking, sign language interpreter? Another adult in the classroom? I have 35 students in my class. Where will I put her? Do I need to learn sign language now? Sometimes teachers feel a bit taken aback when they realize they have a deaf or hard of hearing student in their classroom. Not only is there someone who communicates in a completely different manner as compared with the other students, but there's another adult in the room taking up valuable space and relaying every word you say with their hands. While this may sound like a difficult change, in reality, having a deaf or hard of hearing student and an interpreter in the classroom requires only minor adjustments. This video has been made to help address most of your questions and concerns, ensuring a successful year for everyone involved. The first and foremost concern for a student and interpreter is line of sight. The student will need to sit with a clear line of sight to both teacher and interpreter. This area should be one that is free from visual distractions like foot traffic. Generally, the front of the room is best, as this is usually the closest to both teacher and interpreter. Placement of the interpreter is also a factor to consider. The interpreter will need to be as close to the source of information as is reasonably possible. This is important since it closes the gap between where the student must look to get the information and where the information is actually coming from. If there is too much of a gap, this can cause a ping-pong effect, which can be very difficult for a student to focus on. It's also important that there is adequate light for the student to see clearly. The interpreter should avoid standing in front of any bright windows, which will cause them to become silhouetted. The best lighting is from the front, which reduces shadows and lessens eye fatigue on the part of the student. There may be times when you need to turn off the classroom lights. It is important that there is still enough light so the student can see the interpreter. Leaving a portion of the lights on or keeping window shades up will often suffice. Usage of caption filmed or other multimedia is extremely beneficial as they will provide more equal access. The student may have difficulty taking notes and watching the interpreter at the same time. When a student looks down to write their notes, they lose eye contact with the interpreter, which severs their source of information. In order to ensure the student is not missing anything, a note taker is often used, and this is a great resource for the student. Here are a couple things to consider. When speaking to the student, speak at a normal pace and address them directly, as opposed to speaking to the interpreter. The interpreter does not edit or delete spoken or signed information. The interpreter will be reading ahead and will familiarize themselves with the coming topics to prepare vocabulary. If there are assemblies or guest speakers, the interpreter needs as much material ahead of time as possible. Interpreters are members of the educational team and are available to address communication, accessibility, and deaf cultural issues as they arise. We've covered a lot of information, but rest assured you will no doubt adjust quickly. As this may be your first time working in a classroom with deaf or hard of hearing students, as well as an interpreter, we hope that you will always feel confident that you can address any concerns or questions with the interpreter and their support team. Thank you for watching, and have fun with your class.